Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Astounding Tales of the Public Domain with Father Malone. Enhanced audio performances from the golden age of science fiction. Featuring tales by Ray Bradbury, Miriam Allen DeFord, Robert E. Howard, Paul Anderson, H.P. Lovecraft, and more. Hear it twice monthly at Weirding Way Media. Astounding Tales of the Public Domain with Father Malone. Weirding Way Media.
We deal in paint, pigment, light and shadow, realism, surrealism, impressionism, and ghost stories. An interest in the oddball, a predilection toward the bizarre. And this place is nothing if it isn't bizarre. There's no admission, no requirement of membership, only a strong and abiding belief in the dark at the top of the stairs, or things that go bump in the night. The name of this place, should you have come in here accidentally out of the ring, is the Night Gallery.
Welcome back, art lovers, to Midnight Viewing of the Night Gallery podcast. I'm Father Malone, and with me here in the gallery are the projection booth's Mike White.
Very tasty.
And the Culture Cast, Chris Dashew.
My fingers are green. Let me plant them and see what happens.
And we are discussing Season 2, Episode 15, which aired on January the 5th, 1972. It was broken into 3 segments. Those are Green Fingers, The Funeral, and The Tune in Dan's Cafe.
For the horticulturist amongst you, here's a dandy. A lady who plants things and then steps back and watches them grow. Roses, rhododendron, tulips, and things never before to be found coming out of the ground, just put in. The subject of this painting has green fingers.
Green Fingers was written by Rod Serling, based on a short story by R.C. Cook, and directed by Mr. John Badham. This one stars Elsa Lanchester, spry as always, Cameron Mitchell, and Michael Bell. Before we continue, I've been all this season attempting to point out a spotlight on some of our lesser-known celebrated members of the Night Gallery family, but this is the only episode he appears in. But in this case, I'm Michael Bell. This is his only Night Gallery performance, as I said, but ultimately, as an actor, I'm not even going to discuss seeing him at all. As a voice actor, he has over 400 credits.
Oh, yeah. Yep. As soon as he started talking, I was like, oh, it's the Cat Man from Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
Absolutely. It's Duke from G.I. Joe. His voice is so recognizable. The only other time I've ever seen Michael Bell And I had the same reaction. He's in the pilot for Star Trek The Next Generation, Encounter at Farpoint. He's the alien who's torturing the other aliens, and they come and set him free. And like he spoke at one point, and I was like, oh my God, that's the voice. That's that guy. Who's that guy? So I've been following him ever since. But like I said, his credits are just completely insane for like 400 voice roles in everything. A true voice actor who has appeared in literally everything from commercials to cartoons of every variety, features and Saturday morning and lame and retro and anything. Anyway, I just wanted to point him out because I kind of adore the guy. Anyway, this story is about Elsa Lanchester, is a lonely spinster who's really good with gardening, and she's refusing the advances of a real estate mogul. What'd you think of this one, Chris?
I think the story that they're telling is fun. I think it's just a little long. I like Elsa Lanchester a lot. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge fan of The Bride of Frankenstein, as I'm sure we all are. And to see her in this, in a speaking role, which is now the second time I've seen her in anything outside of Bride of Frankenstein, is interesting and refreshing because she ain't in that movie a lot, folks. I know if you haven't seen it, you might think she's in Bride of Frankenstein a lot, but she's not at all, frankly. She's in the beginning and essentially the end of the movie.
I'm going to have to call you a liar, Chris. You saw Elsa Lanchester in Murder by Death. She was the Miss Marple one who was pushing around.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Because I was trying to think to myself, I was like, I feel like I had seen her earlier than Bride of Frankenstein in something where she looked like this. And she does in Columbo look, okay, that's what it was. Okay. But still, I mean, she's great here. And she plays that character perfectly. Perfectly.
Yeah. Cameron Mitchell, on the other hand, what kind of accent is he doing?
Tycoon.
Oh, okay.
A tycoon accent. Don't you know? I'm a man of industry.
That checks out.
I speak only with a cigar in my mouth.
Yeah.
Harumph, guffaw, guffaw.
Yeah.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Harumph.
You watch your ass. Yeah, he wants that. I mean, this is a tale as old as time. This whole thing of a wealthy tycoon wants to take the land from an old lady who won't sell it to him. He owns all the parcels all around, but she won't sell out. And then he hires someone to maybe murder her, or just cut off her fingers, and then her fingers go in the ground. She dies of fucking shock, right? Or something. Like, I was surprised when she died and just how quick it was. But not to worry, because everything she plants grows. So she grows a new person out of her fingers, which then led me to a whole mental conversation thinking about Wolverine. If you cut off Wolverine's fingers, does he grow a whole new Wolverine, or does he grow new fingers, or both?
I think the answer is both.
Whoa. So he's like cloning himself all the time. He must have like one of those prestige machines to kill all these extra ones.
I think in Wolverine's case, it has to be a substantial portion of him to grow back. It can't just be a finger.
Because I'm trying to remember, like with Marvel Zombies, because I think they cut off his head, but then I think the head grows back, not the head grows a new him. Is that the axe that killed me?
Wait, how could he ever be a zombie?
Yeah, that is strange, right? And I can't.
I mean,
yeah,
Galactus is a zombie
True.
at one point too.
True.
So, I mean, hewing close to the rules of the universe don't seem to matter when the Z word comes a knocking.
Yeah, because
same with this. Like, it's a little much that she's just. I thought it was going a different direction, and when it goes where it goes, I was like, okay, sure.
Which way did you think it was going to go?
I didn't expect it to go this way. Like, you know that he's going to get his comeuppance, but I didn't expect that she was just going to die.
Yeah.
Like, she gets her fingers cut off. He doesn't get shot in the head.
Well, and she just kind of loses her mind, too. And she's like, my fingers. And she's just bleeding all over the place. Like, we've complained several times. Probably, I mean, we've done, 15 episodes now? Or this is the 15th? So probably 14 times you've heard me say, boy, I saw that ending coming a mile away. I didn't see this one.
Right on. Well, it is a really good short story. And this teleplay by Serling, he was a little too close to the short story, to the point where, we get another Serling bottle episode here. He wants everything to take place at this one location. It's economical and makes sense. However, when Michael Bell and Cameron Mitchell get out of the limo and he starts giving him the information he needs about this old woman, I'm like, this conversation would have happened at the boardroom, right? This is the tycoon who owns the entire company. Why is he even here, first of all, to reason with this woman? Like, he wouldn't have gotten in the car without knowing the destination. So anyway, just little things like that bug me about it. Also, the ending works as far as the lead character telling us what little green fingers will grow, which is little green ladies. It's a shocking thing to read. Having the character speak it to the camera might have been shocking as well, but it kind of does it. I don't know. There's a weird disconnect there. Also, I was hoping, because she planted her fingers, that we were going to get several little old ladies.
Oh,
and that would have been really horrifying. And I thought they kind of missed an opportunity there. But I love Elsa Lanchester. I think she's so great here. So I think I like this one overall. It's just there was so much potential to make this a truly frightening episode. And in a kind of close but no giant cigar to chop around while you're talking in tycoonese.
I thought for sure we were going to go into Jordy Verrill territory at one point when she kept showing all those plants. I was like, oh, is she going to plant him, or will he start to grow fungus or plants on him? But she leaves him alone.
Well, that's what the ending reminded me of, is with her in that chair. That's like all I could think of was Stephen King and Creepshow. It's like, but in that it's done better, but it's also given more time, and that's the point of the story. Here this reminded me of that Peter Cushing story from whatever it was we did, Father Malone, eons ago now.
Tales
it has
from the
that.
Crypt.
Right, okay. But it wasn't was it Monster Club? Or what it was? It was just Tales from the Crypt, the movie, wasn't it? This has that same feel. It's like it's ultimately a revenge story, but the person who's getting the revenge is no longer there. I do appreciate those kinds of stories, and I agree. Some of this is just like telling, not showing, for the sake of exposition for the audience, which is fine, but it feels out of place. But Cameron Mitchell is such a bastard bad guy. It's like, I like how over the top he is.
He's great.
I do. I like how over the top he is. It's fun. It makes the episode, some of these other ones where the villain is not as overstated, because he's chewing the scenery every time he's on screen.
Yeah, Elsa Lanchester is given as good as she's getting in that department. So they're of a piece. It's just that, ultimately, I'm sorry, Rod, but it's overly written for no good reason. This is an atmosphere piece. It's about a poor old woman potentially bleeding out, by the way. That could be the reason of her death. And they didn't want to maybe overly dramatize that necessarily, but that kind of what I took away from it. Anyway, I thought I liked this segment, but it could have been so much better.
But the music's great. The music is really good.
I agree. And it's shot beautifully. John Badham is just showing what he does well, which is he can put a camera anywhere and give you a great scene.
And I want to mention the painting. I like the painting at the beginning, the one that they use for this segment. I think is really effective as well. And creepy.
And that's right here.
Which, again, they show one for essentially all of these. Yeah.
The somber silence of shrouds, the gray, unhappy light of a sunless dawn, and a horse-drawn casket, very much in keeping with the motif of this place. The title of the painting, Funeral.
All right, our next segment is called The Funeral. This is written by Richard Matheson, his second segment, his final segment here, based on a short story by Richard Matheson and directed by John Meredith Lucas. This one stars Werner Klemperer. We've already had Bob Crane this season. If we get John Banner, we'll have the whole Hogan's Heroes playset. It also stars Joe Flynn. We've already had Cesar Romero this season. So if we get Kurt Russell, we'll have the entire Computer War Tennis Shoes playset. This is a story about a funeral director who receives an unusual request from an unusual guest late one evening. What'd you think of this one, Mike?
This was so strange because this is a blackout skit. We talked, I think, in the last episode about, well, this is a blackout skit that goes on for way too long. The mutant kid that goes up to outer space. This is a blackout skit. I mean, and it's got all of these universal monsters. We keep talking about that. The one thing I'm surprised is there's no Frankenstein in here. You even have a Wolfman going on in here. I was very surprised that Werner Klemperer was playing a vampire since he is as bald as a cue ball. But, hey, love it. I love it, baby. A bald vampire is kind of the new way to go. So, yeah, this went on for way too long. Kind of like my explanation of this.
Chris?
Flummoxed that a blackout sketch was turned into an actual episode segment. And especially this. Have we not seen this before? Fucking 4 times now? Like, why are we, like, it feels like they're walking over the same ground and then stomping it down and then going in a circle again and being like, I don't know who stomped that down last time. You're just beating a dead horse with these blackout sketches. They're fine as blackout sketches because they're 2 minutes, not 10. Holy shit. And again, it's not even funny. It's not even entertaining. Yeah. It's just kind of weird. That's the word I would use. Just kind of strange. Because I thought it, like, I knew where it was going, and we all know where it's going, and it takes 10 minutes to go there, and it feels like it should have only taken 2. Because every other time they do this, it does only take 2 minutes.
I think if they had put this in the last episode...
Who is Harvey Jason supposed to be in this?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, if we put this in the last episode, they could have cut out the 10 minutes of padding of the NASA footage, and it would have slotted in quite nicely. And I do agree with both of you that this is just another blackout sketch stretched out to a 10-minute length, but also a big surprise, the other Richard Matheson segment was also basically a blackout sketch, and I think they're both handled really well. So this one doesn't bother me. It is kind of a one panel joke, but getting to see Werner Klemperer do something other than Colonel Klink so well, sort of made this one a winner in my book. And that that doesn't necessarily make me want to recommend this to anybody. But if you've only been fed a steady diet of Klink your entire life, it's a nice balm to see Werner Klemperer doing his thing. That's all.
He was great, and I hope I didn't misquote the line, the thing that Harvey Jason keeps saying in here when he's like holding on to the Joe Flynn's shoulders. He just doesn't keep saying like, "Oh, very tasty." He's like trying to do
Absolutely.
like a Peter Lorre type of thing.
Good old Harvey Jason. Cannonball's own.
Yeah.
Harvey. Lost World.
Not
Gumball Rally.
No,
but
it
he's
wasn't
also in
Cannonball,
Lost
Gumball
World.
Rally.
Ajay, don't go into the long grass.
That guy's had a long career. Yeah. I think he's still around.
I did not realize.
Don't go into the long grass is a quote that I use often. Playing an Indian man in that movie. Ajay. Brown face. Brown face was a thing even in Steven Spielberg movies, folks.
But not the first time, because make them laugh. Here in the Night Gallery, we had, what's his name? I found out some interesting information about that episode, by the way, gentlemen. The Make Me Laugh episode that Spielberg directed.
Oh, God.
Initially, evidently, he said that he planned the entire episode in 2 shots, shot the entire first day, and got one of those takes down. So the entire first act was in 1 take, and then had most of the second take done, and then came in the next day and was told, we've lost all faith in you. You've ruined your career here. And they fired him. And then they pieced the rest of the episode together with the other footage that he had sort of done as like testing. So what we get there is not Steven Spielberg's episode at all.
That Spielberg guy didn't have much of a career afterwards anyway, so I think the right call was made.
I know no one's crying for him, but
yeah, I mean, imagine though, if he had been given a break,
he be now?
You know,
he wouldn't have mythologized his own life. I promise.
Much like Rod Serling, who had his name on this program that he did not want his name on. You know, maybe Spielberg doesn't want his on his. Anyway.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's pretty wild. That is wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, the 70s television just seems like the Wild
is.
West, man. Which I kind of love. Like, a little bit of that is gone now.
We don't ask you to believe this particular painting, Death's Head hovering over a jukebox, but it does point out the all-inclusive quality of the occult. Phantom specters can be found not only in haunted houses, but in places you'd least expect to find them. Places like this. Our painting is called The Tune in Dan's Cafe.
All right, then our final segment is called The Tune in Dan's Cafe. This was written by Gerald Sanford and Gary Bateson, short story by Seamus Fraser. This one was directed by David Rollins. Now, you might notice a very distinct editorial flair in this episode. That's because David Rollins, this is the only segment of the show he directed. It's the only segment of anything he directed ever. But he edited another 12 segments here on Night Gallery. He was a TV editor pretty steadily up until Night Gallery, having edited only a few features, not very memorable ones at that. But that changed when frequent Night Gallery collaborator John M. Badham made the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, and then Saturday Night Fever, and David Rollins became a feature film editor after that. And the editing is actually really good in this episode. This episode stars Pernell Roberts, Susan Oliver, and Brooke Mills as Red, the dream girl who is David Rollins' wife. Don't really have a description for this episode. Would either of you like to tell the audience what this one was? Because I'm really... I'm not saying that the quality on the show is going down. I'm just saying more recently, we've been getting episodes that seem to want to confound me. And this is one of those.
I'm just sitting back here waiting for somebody to explain it to me.
Can I be frank? You guys remember when we did Dreams for Sale? Yeah, that was a fun thing we did together. That was a lark. We got to talk about George R. R. Martin episodes, and we got to talk about an episode towards, correct me if I'm wrong, the end of that show, and I'm trying to remember the name of the episode. Maybe one of you two could help me out here, where there's like a car that the people get inside,
Yeah.
and then like things happen when they're inside the car, but not when they're outside the car. You guys remember this bullshit?
Yep.
Okay, that bullshit.
I thought it was called Joyride, yeah.
Okay, this had that same stink on it, where it's like someone unpacking some sort of personal trauma on screen for the rest of us and not realizing that you can't do that without being entertaining or at least explaining what the fuck's going on. Best I can tell, what's going on here is a couple who is fighting go to a diner or a bar that's closing and or possibly already closed. And these two are together and they're clearly in the process of breaking up or possibly breaking up. So the husband goes to play a song on the jukebox to play their song, not the Elton John song, but a song that's important to the couple. And instead, for whatever reason, a song comes on the jukebox that was being played by another couple who were Bonnie and Clyde, or like
Adjacent.
Natural Born Killers. They were like bank robbers, I guess. Yeah, or like one of them was and the other one didn't know, I guess. The woman isn't, but the guy is like a thief. And yeah, I don't know much from there. All I know is the way the episode ends is I guess the ghost of the woman goes and sees his dead body, and or we're seeing what happened when this happened. This is just fucked is what this is. I tried.
Okay.
I tried.
Okay.
I tried.
I'm glad that it wasn't just me. I was like, am I losing my mind? What is happening here? Yeah, just that. And the aggravation of a song playing over and over and over again. I thought I was in that John Mulaney skit where he was talking about putting What's New Pussycat on the jukebox.
Honestly, that's all I could think of when I saw this.
But I would have preferred What's New Pussycat here.
Oh boy, yeah. Especially such a saccharine country song. Ooh.
The only good thing about the music in this episode, about that song choice, is at the end when they transition outside and it's the same tune playing now and it's score music, but it's a harmonica playing the same music. I thought that was nice. I like when movies do that. The theme can change and adapt from scene to scene. That's my only plaudit for this particular episode, though.
So that song, which is called If You Leave Me Tonight, I'll Cry, shocking, I know, was created for the show by Gerald Sanford and the music director Hal Mooney. And then they brought someone in to sing it. And because it was so popular, he recorded the song.
Wow.
Like, actually recorded the song.
So popular with who?
People were calling into the radio asking for the song from that Night Gallery episode.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
I would call a radio station and say, don't ever play this song.
Jerry Wallace is the guy who they brought in, and he recorded it, and it became a hit. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
The utter insanity of it.
Well, what's crazy about it is it's pretty far down if you Google information about it, but this is all on a guitar forum because someone is asking about the song. Wow. And someone chimes back in with all this information like they know because they probably do. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But at the same time, go look. The song doesn't exist until afterwards. But what's funny is I mention all this because the song is awful.
Yes.
And I can't tell if it's because it's actually bad or because I had to hear it 8 million times.
Yeah. I was happy to see Pernell Roberts, and this is kind of in that transitory time between Adam Bonanza and then Trapper John MD on the show of the same name, where I'm like, oh, I can actually see how he went from young, handsome Adam to Cartwright to Trapper John MD with this. This is the missing link of Pernell Roberts' roles is what I'm trying to say.
And I was on, speaking of him, because I think he's really good in the episode. And when it starts and it's this couple, they're obviously breaking up. And this is obviously like some last ditch effort that he's concocted in order to save their marriage. So this is this long distance trip. And the utter desperation putting the song on to try and rekindle some spark with his wife. I was fully on board. And then it turns into some bullshit where the song keeps playing by itself. The jukebox, no matter how many times the owner has replaced the jukebox, it will always play this song somehow. And it relates back to, as you said, Chris, this like Bonnie and Clyde-like situation where a young couple were on the run and she turned him in for the money and this was their song and the cops showed up and shot him up. The editing in the sequence is great. I gotta say, it's a step above the ordinary Night Gallery episode. Anyway, so he's killed, and so this is I guess the story of a song that plays because these lovers were never going to reunite, but it's not that story. She fucking basically murdered him by sicking the cops on him. And then this couple now has learned a lesson somehow based on this story that they're told and this jukebox that magically plays the same fucking stupid song over and over again, that they're going to rekindle their love now. I think that's what they were trying to tell me. That's why it was so confounding. I don't get it. I still don't get it. Anyway, Pernell Roberts was good.
Is it more or less confounding than the amount of weeks that this song featured in this episode spent on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart?
How many?
I'm terrified to know.
2.
Whoa.
2, which is more than 0, which is what the number should be. And it sold 800,000 copies as a single.
Wow.
So we're wrong, folks. My opinion here is incorrect based on financial capitalism that this episode, I guess, prompted. What's crazy is, like, I can't even imagine watching this episode and saying, oh, the song, I want to hear more of the song past the part that they looped over and over again. Because I don't understand how anyone could not find it as obnoxious and off-putting as the three of us did. To the point of, I want to hear more of that, please. Here, just jam the ice pick further into my fucking ear.
Chris, don't you realize that this is a huge song to mimic on TikTok?
Oh. No.
Okay.
It's an actual song, which means you can't mimic it on TikTok.
There is an explanation, at least, that the people who bought it did not have to listen to only the first 20 seconds and then the skipping of the word death over and over again.
Yeah, there's that.
Go listen to the single, though, I implore you. It doesn't get much better.
Have you listened to it, Chris?
Yeah, it's that warbly Hank Williams country music that like over singing is just no thanks. I actually like country music just fine. I'm not one of those like I hate country music dickheads. Like I don't mind country music at all. But that kind of hee-haw shit I don't like. And again, like it doesn't help this episode's like overall problem, which is what's the point? At least with Tell David, I get what you're getting at. I got it. I don't necessarily find what you're saying entertaining. In this, it's like, what is going on here?
I do like hee-haw shit, but I didn't really care for this just because of the repetition.
It's a terrible song and a terrible episode. I don't care how many units it sold. You know, once upon a time, Yahoo Serious was popular in this country.
Oh, for good reason.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw young Einstein in the
Reckless
theater,
Kelly.
Folks.
Pauly Shore was popular at one point, too.
That's right, when he was squeezing the juice. Wheezing the juice. Wheezing, not squeezing. So silly.
Father Malone, since you're always
All right.
the one who's read the short story, I want to ask you, did you read the short story for this?
No.
Yeah, I was curious.
And I did so unapologetically because there's nothing that short story was going to tell me beyond what we got here. I don't care how they concocted it. Ultimately,
I'm just curious if the short story actually has a point.
I wouldn't count on it.
let's hope. Let's hope there was something.
Maybe it's just the part about the song and it's not the trappings around it, and that stuff was added for the show. That's what I wonder. Because like the Tune and Dance Cafe, like some of it, the wife and husband don't need to be there. That doesn't add anything. So that's more what I was getting at. Like that stuff feels extraneous to the story that they're telling. If you take the story of just the couple and there's the song and it's this weird kind of thing, kind of like, wasn't there an episode where there was like a guy playing country music in a bar and it was like, don't go murder your wife because you're jealous. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like that was a thing.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's it. This had that quality to it. If you just drop away the fighting, bickering couple, which ultimately the narrative doesn't serve and they don't serve the narrative. Because like we don't know why they're there and they don't add anything to the proceedings that may actually be entertaining or interesting, at least presented interestingly. Like you said, Father Mode, it's not bad to look at. But to be honest, this show... No. I'm good. I mean, it's that same thing. Where was
Don't
that?
get all jealous and kill your wife.
Where was that in Tell David?
I know.
I played this song for you. Ding da ding. Don't kill your husband. I mean,
I can't stand that music.
Yeah, get it out of here.
All right, we're going to play a preview of the next episode, and we'll be right back to wrap things up.
Painting number 1, having to do with fishermen and what they fish for. Or, more specifically in this case, a fisherman and what he wasn't fishing for. What appeared in his net one afternoon defies logic, reason, and belief. But there it was, Lindemann's catch. A dead man splattered on a concrete walk. Not the most appetizing of scenes and not the pleasantest of stories, but if you're interested remotely in homicides, this may be your bag. We call it the late Mr. Peddington. In the general generic area of costume jewelry, note girl and note expression. Obviously a lady much disturbed by whatever little bauble she has recently been the recipient of. A said sentence improperly ending on a preposition. But this story ending on a much more deadly note than that. We call it a feast of blood.
That's right. On the next episode of Midnight Viewing, we'll be taking a look at Season 2, Episode 16. That's broken into 3 segments. Lindemann's Catch, A Feast of Blood, and The Late Mr. Peddington. Until then, where can people find everybody? I'm going to ask you, Mike White. You do the honors.
I will tell you, WeirdingWayMedia.com. That's the place for everything. Just go there and enjoy. We put on a lot of good shows for you folks.
I like how that sounded like a threat initially. I will tell you. Whoa.
Look.
Oh. We're having a sale. Okay, jeez.
Hear me now and believe me later. All right, listen, thank you all for joining us here at Midnight Viewing. The gallery is now closed.